Back again, nerds, for another episode. Obviously, we're wearing the same clothes as another episode, but
Yeah.
don't tell anybody. It's because
Yeah.
we need to, be efficient. But
Yeah.
Kyle here with,
Key.
and today we're going to talk about nerds in general. And I think there's a lot of what
Crossover?
crossovers of nerds. Like, there's so many different types of nerds, and that's what we want to talk to you guys about. So like one thing I brought up to Key was, everybody says, okay, like if you're into Star Wars, you're a nerd, right? If you're into Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and Marvel and DC and all these things are like, oh, that's a nerd, right?
Fun
But-
fact.
What's that?
You're all nerds.
Everybody's a nerd.
Everybody's a nerd.
Yeah.
It's just what you're nerding for.
What are you a nerd about? If you love Yellowstone and you can't wait to watch Yellowstone, you're a Yellowstone nerd.
Sneakers?
Said it.
Sneakers?
Sneaker nerd. I'm a sneaker nerd. He's a sneaker nerd.
Sneakerhead, sneaker nerd.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Like all of us have people that were close to us too. Like people in my family as well. Like they're like, "Oh, I'm never a nerd." It's like, well, guess what? If you watch Golden Girls your whole life, you're a Golden Girl nerd or an Andy Griffith nerd.
Power. If you watch Power all the time, if you watch Snowfall, you know everything on Snowfall. You're a Snowfall nerd. You're a Power nerd. You're a nerd. Everybody just wants to frame it in some other kind of way,
Right.
just to make it sound cool.
Could you call it obsessed? Maybe you're obsessed with something. Like if you're a gardener, right? You love gardening and you love every single thing there's about gardening. Because there are people that get into something, and I think that's what nerdism kind of becomes, right? Like I love, like some of the things on the table today, right? Like we got Deadpool peeking at y'all. Watch out. Like little things like Lego. We talk about Lego a lot, right? And you can dive into it. You got some people like me. I dive into a lot of things, right? You dive into a lot of things, but like some person, let's say that's out there that loves to garden, and they not only have a garden, but they know the exact time to plant, the exact time to water. They do the research. They're looking at
pH
YouTube
balance.
videos, the pH balance, all that stuff. You're a garden nerd, right?
Yes.
You're a green thumb nerd.
You have a green thumb and you're a nerd, and it's cool. I think one of the things is that nerds have gotten a bad rap for so long. Nobody wants to be called them. That's why you get the head or a sneaker head or addict. They use the addict in certain things. Like you're addicted to TV show. You binge watching it. You as soon as it drops, you binge watch it. So you're addicted to it. Like it's okay. It's okay to be called. It's okay to be a nerd.
There's always a difference between like what's a geek and what's a nerd, right?
Yeah.
And so people were trying to say like a geek is maybe someone that's into technology, but I would say sometimes it goes hand in hand, right? What's the difference between a geek and a nerd? But like if you love TVs and video file stuff, right? Like if you have to have the nice TV with, which I guess I'm gonna share more about myself today too. If you have to have the OLED TV with the 24 karat gold high high end cables.
Velociraptor.
Velociraptor. That's what I wanted to say.
That's what he wanted to say.
But you want to have the nice Martin Logan speakers. You want to have the ER cables. You want to have the really nice TVs. You want to have really good sound. And you actually color calibrate your TVs yourself. You would be considered a video nerd.
As I'm blinking my eyes, I am not a video nerd. Plugs are plugged up, and they work. Not a video nerd.
But video game nerds, right? People love video games. Like, I mean, and that's really what we want to kind of share with you guys real quick was just like how we start talking more. Like, man, everybody's a nerd in some form or facet, right? I mean, you got cowboy nerds, man. You'll be a cowboy, you'll be a rancher. There's a lot that goes into ranching, and you got to learn a lot. And I think in school we always taught, right? Like you have let's say you have to read Beowulf, right? Let's say you didn't like Beowulf, right?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you don't want to dive into something you don't like, and you won't retain the information, right?
Yeah.
Now you put, something out, like let's say, I don't know, for me, let's say high school they said you got to read Harry Potter. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it again, and I'm gonna ace the test, right? But it's also showing you, I guess, in school too, like you have to do things you don't want to do, right? But I think that's what we get, this stereotype thing where it's like, well, you didn't like that, But there are people out there when you like it, you dive into it.
Yeah, and you just find, like, I think the nerd thing comes with you when you find people that are alike and you kind of just all kind of gather and you kind of create a coven.
A covenant?
Uh-huh.
Like the Nerd Waffle House covenant?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it. Me and Kyle, We got beards. We're kind of beard gang.
Beard gang nerds.
Beard gang nerds. I mean, if you think about it.
We can measure them too.
No, we're not measuring anything. We're not doing that. No. But think about it. We take care of our beards. You know, you do all the background stuff. You do the beard stuff and all that, and you trim your beard and stuff. You're a beard nerd.
They still get itchy, but that's that thing.
You know,
like I think that's the thing too. It's like, but at the same time, like every nerd's different. Every nerd has their own thing. Some people have lots of things, but I think, just remember, you're a nerd.
Live and let nerd. Live and let nerd.
Yeah, live and let nerd, man. Like everybody's a nerd of something.
I just thought about that.
Live and let nerd.
Live and let
T-shirt
nerd.
idea coming in.
Hey.
Yep. Unapologetically nerd. That's another
Another
T-shirt.
shirt.
Yeah, he said that last time. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think we get so wrapped up in what's popular, and the funny thing is a lot of this stuff, like even around us, right, is popular.
Mm-hmm.
And I would fully admit to you, internet, and to Key, I am a more mainstream kind of nerd. I do. I like Star Wars. I have some small things here and there, but a lot of the stuff I like is mainstream. I didn't really dive into some of the deeper things. Like you brought up Badger one time, right?
Yeah.
Like I didn't dive into like the Badger kind of stuff, but there are, when you start thinking about stuff and you're put on the spot, you can't think of it, right?
Yeah.
But when you go to the stores and you look at these things, like, oh, I like that. Not a lot of people like that. Okay, cool. Like I have Dune comics. Now Dune is getting popular now, but like I have all the Dune comics and Dune books.
Mm-hmm.
It's popular now because of the movie, but I loved Dune before then, And there's a lot of influence on that stuff too. But I think it's fun, man. Like you got board game nerds.
Yeah, they're literally board game nerds, and I mean,
we have a lot of friends that are into board games. I mean, I have a lot of board games, but it's fun, man.
It is fun. I think that you got like this world of people that wanna not be something that sounds kind of derogatory.
Yeah.
The nerd word sounds derogatory, but I think, like I said, live and let nerd. I think we all should be okay being individuals, but we come together because we have more in common than we do not alike, and that's what this was all started based upon. Like me and Kyle have different backgrounds, but we still nerd out on a lot of cool stuff together. We nerd out on a lot of cool stuff, and I'm very mainstream when it comes to my nerding, but I also find these things like I can't go into circles of nerds with anime guys. For one, those guys, if you mess that up,
yeah, we talked about that one.
There's a difference between nerd and snob. Let's just be clear about that. Like, we're nerds. We're not comic book or any type of snob, because certain snobs I'm not a huge fan of, because those are kind of the elitist guys that think, well, you don't know this. Well, tell me. I want to know.
Yeah.
Would you tell me without sounding, you're welcome type of dudes, man? Nah, don't do that. Let's keep it cool, man.
Why you gotta put me down because I didn't read 35 books like you did?
Yeah, I didn't read every manga.
Like, give me an idea of what you're thinking right now, and we can go from there.
If you tell me it's cool, nice. I might check out one of the books. I myself like anime. The books I like them sometimes. I like graphic novels more so than I like the treatments in my manga. So I do. Yeah. I like those. I like the treatment in anime. I like the treatment in graphic novels and comics. So when they do those, I do check those out.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, a lot of people are going with anime stuff too, like that Star Wars anime on Disney Plus, some series. You had an anime Halo show one time.
Marvel did a bunch of anime versions of Wolverine. Did you see the Wolverine anime?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually pretty interesting. It's an interesting interpretation of Wolverine.
Well, that's interesting, Key. I haven't seen it before, and so I might go do that. And you were very nice about it. I appreciate that.
Thank you, my friend. You're welcome for me.
You've given me something to look forward to.
There we go. Hey, we work together to nerd it out. Live and let nerd, man.
Live and let nerd, man. I think that's the thing, is like kind of pushing out there. Live and let nerd. Like embrace who you are, and obviously don't be a
jerk.
A jerk, yeah. I was trying to find the right word without using the other word, but a jerk. Don't be a jerk about it, and don't be a jerk towards others that are nerds, right? Like, just because somebody literally is 45 years old and goes to Disney World, guess what? When's the last time you've been? If you haven't, go ahead and try. See if you like it. I know a lot of people who haven't gone and they go the first time and they're like, I want to go back.
Yeah, man. You know the funny part is everybody wants to kind of classify you in this space, but it's like, man, it's cool.
Yeah.
Just be cool, man. If you're cool, it's no issues. Like everybody wants to be considered like this. I'm holding on to this information and I'm gonna keep it right here, and I'm only gonna
peek in.
You can look, but if you don't know
you
it
can't
yourself,
touch.
if you don't know it yourself, why don't you go do the research? Read the book. No, man, just tell them, and they might want to read
Tell
it.
more information, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't spoil some of the stuff too. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if spoiler alert, if you go to tell somebody that reads Harry Potter that Dumbledore dies, then it's like, okay, well, don't give them that information. But another piece too, I wanted to bring up. We might do a whole episode on this too. Is nerd investments. Yes. So someone will tell you, hey, why are you wasting your money on that stuff, right? Or they'll say like, oh, it's not responsible to go buy Lego or replica props or a poster that's 1 of 50 signed by the entire cast of a movie and Stan Lee, right? And it's 1 of 50, and I go, wait, it's 1 of 50 in the world? Yeah. And then what happens is you get that negative connotation, but I'm like a lot of you guys, some of the stuff that you collect as a nerd, I want to check those values before you sell that stuff in a garage sale.
Yeah, man. Boy, stop. That stuff is, if you really do it right, you can make that stuff into an investment. Sidebar.
Look at sneakers.
Yeah, my sneakers. Like, I got sneakers that are really expensive. I got some that, I got some in a space I don't tell anybody.
And we'll never know where our stuff is.
Yeah. No, I got some that I got a retirement plan for. So I can sell 3 pair of shoes and I'll be, not set, but I'll be
good. Yeah.
Be pretty good for a year.
People always think about investments as like the stock market or something like that, right? They don't think of tangible physical pieces, right?
Because people want things. So,
yeah.
Oh, sidebar. I'm counting how many days I don't curse on here. I made it through a day. It should be like one of those things where you got a placard in the background.
Well, no, you didn't make it through a day. I had to.
Oh yeah, he had
restart.
to edit.
And there's one I have to cut out, but
yeah,
it's better than the 16 last time.
Oh, I had 16 last time.
So we're getting better.
Every day.
Getting better. It's because what happens is you have to do it like in life, outside of this. When we do these episodes, if you do it outside of this, when you come back, it's easier. But if you curse like a sailor outside of here, it's like you come back here like it's just natural because you and I do curse a lot when we talk on the phone about certain things or something like that too. But yeah.
Oh, poop. Is poop okay?
Yeah, shapoopy.
I'm never gonna. Oh, that just went down. No, that didn't even go. No.
We could replace words. What was the what was the one on Rick and Morty? The Plumbus saying, oh Plumbus.
Oh, that's gonna be.
Guys, come on, man. Oh
no.
No, Morty.
Oh, Morty.
Yeah, that'll be Rick and Morty. Something we can talk about too. That's a great show.
Yeah,
that's a great show. Rick and Morty is.
They're definitely Rick and Morty. There's so many Rick and Morty nerds.
Oh gosh, yeah.
They're literally Rick and Morty. I think makes nerd was like the first shift of cool nerds. There's so many cool nerds. About that.
Cool nerds. So what's the difference between a cool nerd and not a cool nerd? Now, I would say all nerds are cool, right? Every person is cool in their own way, but you have these people that are like, let's say you would say the people that are. I know some executives at Fortune 50 companies who are nerds, okay? And maybe we can get them on here. Yeah. I'm talking to you guys, right? I'm going to call you up. You'll come sit down, and you're going to show the whole world who you really are. And you can wear your suit if you want, but like I know a lot of executives at some major companies that I've worked at and he's worked at, where you walk in their office and they have a Darth Vader helmet in there, or Harry Potter stuff, or comics, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, I guess could you classify that as like a cool nerd? And I would say what the cool nerd classification for me is the guy that doesn't want to wear this outside, or the woman, that or whoever that doesn't want to wear this outside. They keep it under wraps. But then you go to their house and all of a sudden you notice they got like a whole room, and you're like,
full of cool nerd stuff. But the thing I'll say is this: what happened is, in the past we've always had a picture for something. In the past, the nerd image would be
glasses.
Sorry, glasses. Like the nerd pocket protector.
Yeah.
Ink probably leaking out of the pocket.
Pants
high. Steve Urkel.
Oh my God, Steve Urkel was a nerd.
Steve Urkel was like the stereotypical. He was the stereotype of what a nerd was, and nobody really wanted to be Steve Urkel.
And then when they saw him as an actor
Mm-hmm.
outside the character, they're like, "Oh, Steve,
Yeah, you Stefan Urkel,
uh-huh,
and now
Stefan, what you doing?"
yeah, what you do, Stefan Urkel? Like so, Steve Urkel was the stereotypical nerd, and nobody wanted to be Steve Urkel, even to this day. But I think because Steve was ingenious and inventive, and now you see all these guys that have changed and become like, okay, I'm a smart guy, but I don't do the clumsy bumble dumble stuff. Bumble dumble. That's a character in one of those movies. But I don't do the dumb stuff like Steve Urkel. I'm a pretty smart guy. I think we're both, because of our work that we do in the daytime, we're pretty creative by nature. We have to be, but we're not like the typical nerd, and it's okay not to be the typical nerd. But it's also okay to be the typical nerd. It's
Yeah,
literally okay.
But I think it's just fun. It's fun to be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to that extent, it's fun to be who you are, but you should never force your opinions on other people, no matter who you are, right?
Yeah.
Or how you feel about certain things. And I think that's one thing we noticed in nerd culture is how uniting it really is. Like we talked about this, and one time was like, I never met a mean nerd, but we met snobby nerds, right?
Yeah.
Like you never met a nerd that's gonna come up to you and call you just straight up names. But like if I can go to the comic book store on Saturday and I spent 2 hours just talking the whole time to various different people.
Now I will challenge that a bit. If you ever go to Comic Con or any Dragon Con, if you, a lot of times, those are where you meet the most snobby nerds. If your costume and your costume is
It's not accurate.
it's not accurate. Oh my goodness, they will destroy
That
you.
is not the version of his gun that he used in
my
that
goodness.
movie.
You
that's the gun from the next movie, not that one.
And you know what's funny? And that's where the nerding. That's where I don't like the nerding, because when they get to the internet, everybody can talk about everybody on the internet,
and everybody believes they're an expert.
Yeah, everybody believes they're an expert on the internet, and the one thing that I have stressed, and I think we like to stress, is we don't know it all.
So the irony in all of this right now, okay, this is how my brain works. Key had a little brain thing. How my brain works, right? And social media is the lack of being social. And I'm saying this while talking to you guys with one of my best friends, talking nerd stuff on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, social media.
But the funny thing is that social media is the lack of being social. And what happens is with those interactions, like us being in person and talking is so much better. But hopefully what we share and talk about with other people and everything too comes off as very genuine and authentic. And you have more of a social experience than just keyboard warriors going behind the keyboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like comic book groups and other things like that just want to have opinions and say things. And what happens is we recently did a video today where we talked about, social media wants you to be perfect. And there's not a single person on this planet that's going to be perfect, and you will never be perfect. And the sooner people realize that you should never expect perfection of yourself is the best way to go. And remember, practice does not make perfect; it makes permanent.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have the best baseball player, the best basketball player in the world, and they're never going to be perfect, right? I mean, we can get on a whole nerd tangent about LeBron James, but we will not do that. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan to me is pretty darn close to being one of the most perfect basketball players, but he's not perfect. Okay,
he's not perfect.
But at the same time, that's just something to keep in mind. You're never going to be perfect, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. That's okay. But stop thinking that everybody on the internet is out to get you, because they're not. Some of them are, but it's funny how when you put people now that are used to talking about these things online,
mm-hmm.
and you go to like a Dragon Con or a Comic Con, and all of a sudden they start talking now, they've probably been talking about this for a while on the internet. All of a sudden they're coming back and start talking, and then it starts to blend into the conversation like the internet now, where it's not more of an approach of being like, hey, how's it going? My name is Kyle. It's really nice to meet you. I love your costume. Hey, fun fact, right? Like that kind of stuff, right? Now it's more like, hey, your costume's great, but it's inaccurate, and this is why, right? If you come off as that way, I think that social media has pushed people to become that way more so.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's my little rant on social media being antisocial. But we're trying to change the game.
Yeah, we're trying to be friends and trying to make a community, man. That's what it's about. And nerd communities are pretty cool because you get to learn so much cool stuff. I learned so much stuff by going to comic book stores. I literally got away from comic books for I say about 2 years, no, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 years, and just away from it, not even looking them up, not even buying them anymore. But I got back into it because of this guy and kind of pushed me down the path. Like, okay, I can start learning about some cool stuff. And I got some cool stuff in my collection. Not everything that he has. He has a way bigger collection.
We're not gonna talk about my collection because we don't want to. We will definitely show you guys some of our stuff.
Yeah.
The studio we're in is actually pretty packed with things.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, you can also bring in some of your baseball figures. Like, there's a lot of things we can talk about and we'll share with you guys. But I think what you just hit on too is great because it's one of those things where like it's showing unity and also the nerd community in itself trying to build a community of people that just love these things and love to talk about these things. And the nerd community is very accepting. It's very cool to talk through. Like you said, going to comic book stores, man. Like, and I've noticed every person I talk to that's a nerd, and I'm pretty sure that might be true of you. Every person I talk to that's a nerd has hit pause on being a nerd at some point in their life. They kind of said, "Hey, look, I love this, love this, love this. Feel like I'm too old for this," and then they kind of stop, but they always come back.
Exactly.
Right? I know people that built Lego as a kid, and they stopped building Lego. Then as an adult, they buy the Lego for their kid, and they go, "Oh, this is fun." And then like I used to buy a lot of Legos for my kids. I said Legos, my son. That's taboo. Ooh. Anyway, but we got Star Wars Lego sets and stuff like that. And I'm like, we didn't have this when I was little, right? And it's like in Step Brothers, they say even better. We have it when we're 40, right?
Yeah, you have it when you're 40. Now you can really appreciate it. Like Hot Toys are some of my favorite things.
Yes.
And I think they're so visually accurate.
We're gonna bring some Hot Toys on the show, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
I have a few, and
And I
here's
got
a few.
Yeah.
I have more on order too that I'm waiting on too. So
Yeah.
oops.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's got for us?
I think that's it. I think we're gonna close this one out, and just remember, man, everybody's a nerd. Every person's a nerd, and don't expect yourself to be perfect, and don't expect others to be perfect too. Remember, everyone has something going on. Everybody's a nerd of a different thing, and but I guarantee you're gonna find some similar interest being a nerd. Very similar interest. Like there's a lot of things you and I nerd out on together, right?
Yep.
So, you got anything?
Well, live and let nerd.
Live and let
Patent
nerd. Patent pending. Live and let nerd. Peace.
Peace.